Diane with Bolan-Beaty Boogie. Pretty timely topic for the show this week. I know get very frustrated about what's happening in the political arena in the U.S. And I'm just like, how can this be happening? So Marc and Spirit tend to look at the energy of, well, the planet, but also our viewers and what you might want to talk about. And I think it's an important topic for everyone who's living on the planet right now. So I hope you enjoy the show. I'm meeting a new guide, which is always very exciting, and in a very interesting way, I think. So I visit my guides every night, and they're in a room together. And the guides I know, the guides I work with every day. And there's been this one guide who's been showing up little bits of him at a time. So I could see his feet. So every time I went to the room, I could see a little bit more of his body. And now he's fully developed. He says his name is Herbert. So Herbert, the French pronunciation, which I'm sure I'm not doing very well. And he's in 18th century garb. It's a very elaborate kind of court dress. So I'm assuming he's from Versailles. And I have a feeling that Marc and I knew him because I know that we had 18th century lives in France at the time. But he's not saying anything. And the other guides who I'm working with are kind of like, we don't really know anything about him. You know about him, but we don't know anything. He's just kind of materializing in this room here with us. And at some point, I know he's not acknowledging me at all or anyone else. So he's making quite a grand entrance, I must say. And I will see when he's ready to talk. I have a feeling it's actually based on me, not him. And so when I get to a certain point, and I don't know what that is yet, where I come to some conclusion or something happens, then he will start to acknowledge me and talk to me. But until then, he's keeping quiet. So I hope you all enjoy the show again. Again, we have a website, www.channelingmarc.com. Take a look if you get a chance. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like the show as soon as possible. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yep. It's Marc. I made it. Okay, everyone. Again, this is Marc. You may know me from my rock band T-Rex. Yeah. I'm here now in spirit and channeling through Diane's body. Yep. Okay. Yeah, let's start the show right away because I don't know how much time we have here on Earth. Okay. So yeah, I have some friends here in the studio with me. Yeah, we kind of consider it a show. Okay, so today's what? Yeah. No. We don't have to go into that because, well, if somebody's new, they can check back. Okay. Yep. Okay, so yeah, let's start the show. Today's topic is going to be divide and conquer, or no, divide and conquer. Right. Or unification. Okay, unify. Okay, so yeah, yeah. In spirit, we do look. Well, the spirits who are connected to the earth still, and I am one of those. Okay. Yeah, because I care about what's happening to the earth. I'm working with Diane. My last life, obviously, was a physical life on earth, and I still know people there. Okay, I still know people there. They're getting older. But there's still people there who I love. So I want to help as much as I can. Okay, so that's one of the reasons Diane and I are doing this. Okay, so yeah. So when you look at the planet Earth, okay, now. Yeah, so right. I'm gonna go there. Hold on. When you look at planets, okay, civilizations, obviously physical planets, but there are star systems too, and yeah, there's going to be revolutions, revelations, yeah, there's going to be a lot happening, okay? And the societies, yeah, that's why you're all coming down on these planets, is to help them, well, yeah, regenerate in a way, but yeah, what's the English? What's the English? What's the word? Well, yeah, to help it along, to yeah, to grow, I'm going to come up with the English word pretty soon, or the word pretty soon. Okay, so you're down here to make, yeah, so it's twofold, okay, or threefold, depending on what you want to look at. So you come down to have a physical experience. Your spirit, you come down to have a physical experience, but you're also here to help the planet evolve. Okay, that's it. Evolution, however you want to say it. So you're helping in a number of different ways. Okay, now societies start from kind of the bare basics. Okay, well, they don't even start as societies, right? Societies evolve over time, and there's always been a struggle, at least, yeah, and usually, like, well, on some planets, Earth would be considered, quote unquote, a primitive society or humanity, right? And it's nothing negative about that. It's just new compared to other places in the universe and other universes. Okay, so you're still evolving. Okay, so if you can keep that in mind, I know, yeah, because we're looking at the energy of the Earth right now, and in many places, specifically, well, the U.S. right now, but the Middle East, and yeah, and obviously other Ukraine, right. Okay, so many people are going through many horrific things, right? Wars, literally starvation, right. And many of you are saying, how can this still be going on? It seems like we're a civilized planet. It seems like, why isn't somebody doing something about this? Well, they are, but they're doing it within their own best interests, okay? Because they want to either obtain more power or money or have their way. Usually it has to come down to power and money. Those are the two goals that most people in power want to either obtain more of or keep. Right. And many, as you well know, many people will do whatever they can. And it's also based on fear because of retribution, right? If they ever lose their power, what will happen to them, right? Jail, whatever, you know. So, yeah. So people in power will tend to want to stay in power or just want their will over others, okay? Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, but this seems so, as I said, uncivilized. Haven't we grown? Well, you have grown, okay? Believe it or not, you have, as a society, the human race on the earth have, okay? Now you may feel that you're, yeah, and sometimes it feels like you've taken a back step. And sometimes that would appear to be true. But, okay, no, because if you think about it, those who are changing their minds about the way society runs, about the power struggles happening in governments, the political scene on the planet, no, it's changing, okay? Believe it or not, it's changing. More people are becoming aware about what they want, how they feel, getting more involved, okay? So sometimes it takes literally, I wouldn't want to say, well, not monstrosities necessarily, but really horrific acts that people, yeah, they can't comprehend almost. They can't comprehend what is going on or why somebody else would be doing this to their fellow human. And so they say, okay, well, this isn't how I feel I want my planet to be. This isn't how I want my day-to-day life to be. So then people start waking up. And that will go in general with the whole planet, okay? Waking up spiritually, vibrationally, emotionally, what's happening to the planet. Now, many of you may feel, okay, that it's happening too slow, okay? But that is a group effort, okay? As we've talked about before on the show, it's kind of the majority rules in certain situations, okay? So if 3/4 of the planet, the energy is going in one direction, and a fourth is going in another direction, then there's obviously going to be conflicts, but whichever is holding the majority of thought pattern or frequency is going to be either moving the fastest or gaining the most momentum. Okay, so it's important that, yeah, and it's not necessarily, we've talked about this before on the show too, it's not necessarily that you have to, it's good to, yeah, it's good to go out and do what you can, get physical as well as mental into whatever you feel that you feel strongly about. And yeah, because the mental, the physical momentum is also very powerful, but the mental momentum, because there are people in certain situations where they can't fight or they can't physically do anything. So it's important to, and I'm not talking about, well, there is a form of resistance in a way. Okay, let's say that you are being empowered over a certain, by a certain government or person, and this could be not even a political issue, it could be a personal issue, okay? So if there's no way that you can physically kind of resist, then you can also do it mentally, okay? But that's where it all starts. That's where it's all going to start, okay? So if you can think to yourself, okay, well maybe, yeah, you're not happy with what is going on, you see things, yeah, so you have your beliefs, okay? Yeah, you have your beliefs. Let's start there. You have your beliefs. And your beliefs change, okay? They can change a lot. They can change a little. Yeah, I mean, they're going to change. That can't be stagnant. No, 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 because you're always creating. Everything's always changing. Even though it feels it might not be, it is, okay? Okay, yeah, so you start with that. You start with a belief, and then things start happening, and then you're like, well, no, no, this doesn't feel right for me. This isn't who I want to be. This isn't where I want to live. This isn't the planet I want to be on. And then you start shifting your belief, okay? And you can take that in any direction you want to. You could write a poem, you could write a music, a song, you could just talk to friends. And yeah, so you're hearing a lot of that from other places on Earth right now, aren't you? Yep. Yeah, so, but it is really, 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 really important because this is how change happens, okay? This is how change happens. And even though you're not thinking about it, or you're not maybe, yeah, well, I'm sure you're thinking about it, but what I'm trying to say is maybe as a whole, it seems like change is coming too slow, right? But again, that is going to happen based on the momentum. Now, okay, if you look at it, there are certain governments, certain people on the planet, and we're going to talk to some guests here about this, who want to see things their way, like I said, because they want to stay in power, they want the money, and they're afraid of retribution, okay? So they're going to do what they can to hold on to what they have, okay? So, and they might not even have a strong personal belief about what they are doing. They just are working from, well, fear and insecurity. And and a need for a narcissistic, oh, I can't say some English word, narcissism, okay? Yep. And that, we could go into a whole other show about that type of thing, right? But yeah. But we're going to bring a guest on the show who actually, or some guest, they're grouped as together. Yeah, who have led lives like that. And why do they do that? So we're going to bring them in pretty soon. Are they ready? Are they ready? Okay. Yeah. Can you bring them in? Yep. Yeah, and we're going to talk about the other kind of aspect of this, unification. Okay. Here you are. Yeah. Are you here? Okay. Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on the show. Yeah, yep. Okay, so I'm looking at your energy. Yeah, this is a group of spirits who have lived lives like we're talking about. The need for power, the need for their own agenda to be felt throughout as far as they can carry it or take it. Right. Okay, so Attila the Hun, what? Yeah, Genghis Khan. Okay, yeah. Julius Caesar. Right. There's some other, and yeah. Oh, some Russian czars. Okay. Yeah, and we don't have to go really into specifics because they're coming here as a group. But they just want to talk about who they were in those physical lives, and what were they creating? What were they hoping to create in those lives? Okay, and what was their motivation? Okay, so they're just going to talk to me on a whole. Okay, so can you talk about why? Okay, so And it depends. They're saying it depended on how they were, where they were born. Like the Russian czars, and we've talked to some. I think some. Like, yeah, have we? So they were born into that role. Most of them were born. Yeah, it was. Other ones worked their way to where they're saying up to where they were. Right. Okay. So what was your motivation for dominance? Basically, let's just go there. Okay, yeah, and the czar is saying, of course, that it would they really, and it was convenient for them to believe this, that it was a God-given right that they had. They were born into this position, and they could basically do whatever they wanted, and they're saying, okay, no, I'm asking, did you ever have a time where you were like, well, I know that the people who are living underneath my rule are starving, are poor, are, yeah, I'm profiting from everything that they possibly do. Did you ever come to a time when you're saying, I don't know if this is right? And some of them are saying, not as much as you would think. Not as much as you would think. Again, and it was convenient for them at the time to think, well, yeah, I was born to do this. Now, they're not saying that it was always the case with all of them, that they didn't try to make things a little bit better. But they never they never thought about a time necessarily when they were going to lose this power. Now, they would have conflicting armies or other countries next to them trying to take over, and they would just do a war or fight or something like that to hold on to what they felt was theirs, right? And that's a point. That's a good point. Okay, so they're saying they didn't really consider. And a lot of these other beings here are saying the same thing. They didn't really see the individual person. They saw masses of uneducated, what they're saying, peasants. You're saying a peasant, right? And they didn't really consider them human, really. Not really. They were more of a tool or something that literally owned. Yeah. Like, yeah, slavery in other times and countries, right. And so they didn't really see it. Yeah, of course, when they went back to spirit, they understood, what was going on and why they did it. But they're saying, in order for, yes, and this is very important, in order for a human race, the human race, or any race, yeah, and you're going to have to evolve, okay? You're going to have to evolve. You're going to have to get to the point where in order for everyone on the planet to live a life that you would choose to live, yeah, a high frequency, pleasant, everyone has what they need. It's going to take unification. It's going to take, it's going to take maybe the 75% who want what they want and what they feel they deserve and what they feel they're entitled to somehow change their modus operandi, right? Or their feelings about what type of planet they want to live on. And it's going to have to even up. That's it. It's going to have to be at least 50-50 in order to get the whole planet to be unified, okay? So this takes a long time, they're saying. This takes a long time. So they're saying that you should all feel proud. I get into the body and then I start saying I'm part of this body. Well, I am kind of. But yeah, so you should feel So if you're feeling exasperated, if you're feeling like, what can I do? Okay, just bear in mind that you came down at a very important time in this planet's history. Because there are so many important conflicts happening and there's so many important things happening on the planet that you can be part of, and your energy, your thoughts, your actions, okay, can change how the planet is going, what direction the planet is going. And believe it or not, we're seeing a big change in this, okay? There's so much happening that people are starting to stand up, especially in the US, and say, no, we've been asleep. Yes. We've been asleep to what's happening politically in our country, right? And now we're starting to wake up and see, and things are being uncovered, and we're looking at it and saying, no, this isn't what we want. This isn't what we want. But they're saying it's going to take that big push of momentum in order to get things changed. And it's going to take people waking up from kind of a daze, especially in the US, but it's important in other parts of the country as well. And a lot of corruption is coming to light. Yeah, that's been hidden. And that's, going forward, that's not going to be as easy to do anymore. And that is this whole evolution of humanity. Right. And so, and no, go ahead. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're saying that they feel, even though, I mean, they're saying there's no specifically, when you think about it, is there a right and wrong? Now, they're saying when they look at their lives, they didn't necessarily lead lives that, well, they're saying it's twofold. They did what they did, and they see it as part of this evolution of the planet and of humanity, okay? Because, and what you're saying, how is that? My friends are saying, can they describe that more? Because you're looking at their lives and saying, it seems like it wasn't so pleasant for the ones, and they're agreeing with that, but they're saying, in order for things to change, there has to be something to bounce up, to bump up against, right? So they're saying they were part of that, where systems changed eventually in their countries because people were able to bounce, or to bump up against what they were doing, their energy, and say, no, we don't want this. We don't want this. This is what we want. And so you had to have these beings or these people in place, these spirits in place in these bodies in order to do the change. But they're saying too, keep in mind that it is up to everyone who's currently living on the planet to decide what type of planet they want to live on, what type of political system they want to live on how they want to treat the planet, and how, so is it going to continue where those in with wealth and power continue to pollute the planet? Right, and take away from the natural resources from the planet. In the U.S. that seems to be the case right now. But so it's all up to all of you to decide. And so what they're saying here is that even if you feel that there's nothing you can do, that's not so. That is completely not so. Okay, because you can make change. You can make change. Okay, just by thinking what you want is change. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, I'm thinking back to Marc. Okay, when I was Marc, a lot of people told me that I was never going to be famous. What I wanted to share, what I wanted to create, was never going to happen. In fact, they literally laughed at me. Okay, and if I had taken that, if I had said, okay, well, they're right, I'm never going to amount to anything, I would have had a very miserable life because there was nothing else that I wanted to do. And instead, I turned it around. I never wavered in the commitment to myself. Okay, to myself. I never wavered. Wavered? Wavered. Yeah. In the commitment to myself. And I had this wonderful career as a very famous artist. And I got my music out there that many of you still listen to today. And that is something that I'm very, 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 very proud of. Okay. And so so they're saying also this is a very, very good time to feel your true importance. Yep. You could be saying to yourself, okay, well, whatever, and that's interesting. Okay. So they're saying, they also feel it's some spirits wonder about this or think about this. Humans tend to describe themselves, like if you go up to somebody and say, hi, I'm blah, 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 I'm a teacher. Or you seem to describe yourself or your worth based on the profession that you have. And some spirits, find that it's very interesting. That maybe would be the second or third thing out of your mouth. And so, and it is a way to describe what you do and part of who you are. But instead, yeah, spirits often wonder why you, you don't want to share maybe personal things as soon as you meet somebody. And something like, oh, my profession is not that personal, right? Right. Which makes sense. But instead of saying, oh yeah, this is my belief, this is my belief, this is my belief, this is my belief, right? And you could, but it is very interesting. It is very interesting that is done on the planet. Okay. Is there anything else? Anything else? Yeah, unification. Okay, yep. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about, well, we have been talking a little bit about that, but let's talk about so how to become more unified. And that is, we have been talking about that, but let's talk, a little bit more about that, because so I'm looking at planets that you might not be aware of, okay? And like I said, the Earth is still in its evolution, it is still very relatively new compared to other planets and societies. And because I visit them, I talk to them. So there are societies, and we've talked to them on the show, where everyone is equal, where everyone is taken care of, where no one is struggling, unless they want to, right? Unless they want to, for some reason, have a little bit of challenge for themselves. Everything is provided, and it's based on everyone working together in order to do that. The planet is taken care of. They have all the resources they need. They have renewable resources. Yeah, and so then you can take it from there. You're not necessarily having to worry about basic needs, right? Right. And so there are societies like that. And you think, okay, well, is that kind of boring? No, it's not, because then you can work from there. You can work from there. And then you're more in the mood to create what you want, right? And again, everyone's individual. So if you are living on a planet like that and you say this is too easy, then you can create some type of more challenge for yourself, depending on, but it would be a different type of challenge, probably based on where you are at. But yeah, so there are societies like that, and we just want to stress that you're getting there. Okay, the Earth is getting there. You're just not there yet, because it takes a while. It takes a while, but you are important right now because you are there and you are helping. Okay, you are helping the planet. Now, you were saying, okay, well, what if your viewpoint's the other way, where you don't want to be unified, where you do just want to be in power, you want to be wealthy. And so, yeah, you've come down there in order to share this existence with somebody who might have a completely different viewpoint than your own. And again, it's going to be the majority. It's basically going to be the majority rules until you can get to closer to that 50-50%. And then you can look at, and so it's important. Okay, it's important. Let's bring that up. So it's important right now. I think there's a tendency, and this is, well, in the U.S., okay, this is prevalent because it wants, the people want it to happen, where it's us against them. Okay, us against them. We're right, they're wrong. Okay, and so you have to be careful about that. Be careful about that because that is what is wanted. That is what is wanted, because the us versus them is another way of just dividing, not unifying. So that's going to keep pushing those numbers up. So it's important to keep in mind, okay, that in order to get to at least the 50-50 unification on a planet, there has to be, and you're saying, well, I'm trying, I'm open, I'm, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to, maybe, and it's just seeming more and more difficult in order to be open to what this other opinion might think. And and so it can be very, very, very frustrating, okay? But keeping an open mind, okay? Keeping an open mind that there's not always one way to think of something will help, okay? So it is, it can be very frustrating. It can be very, but like I said, this is a process for the planet, okay? And it all depends on all of you. How soon you get to one end or the other, Okay. And I know that that might feel like a burden, but if you could try to think of it as this is a really exciting time. It's a really exciting prospect. It is a struggle at times. It will be a struggle at times, but it's up to you, everyone currently on the planet, as to what direction it's going to go. Right? So it's very, very important times, and it's always very important times, but especially so now because, like I said, the planet, well, certain parts of the planet have been comfortably asleep, shall we say, comfortably asleep. And some of it is starting to wake up. Others continue to want to be asleep. Right? So it's up to you to make up your mind about how you want to do it and how you want to feel. Okay, I think that's all we have for today. Yep. Okay, thank you, my guest, for coming on the show and sharing your experiences. Yep. Okay, is that it? That's it. Okay, that's it for today, and I will be back soon, I hope. Yep.